All right. But I am going to jump in. So, why are you unmotivated to connect with your spouse? Why are you unmotivated to have relations with your spouse? That's the topic. That's what we're talking about today. Come on in if you are up. This is for you. God designed it so that you could be in this room this morning and understand and have understanding about this particular topic, why it's so hard for you to connect with your spouse. And I know for me, I know for me, it manifests itself most sexually. Like it's hard sometimes for me to connect with my spouse sexually. So we're going to talk about it because lack of motivation is a signal, right? Let's talk about signals real quick, right? Our bodies are designed to send signals when things are off. Think about blood pressure. Blood pressure is a regulatory system that shows you if it's too high or it's too low, then something is off. And one of the reasons why blood pressure is a silent killer is because nobody really fully understands the why behind the what. We don't understand what causes the blood pressure to be off. All doctors can do is speculate, but they don't have a definitive answer. However, it's a signal, right? And so if we look over our lives, we can see some signals or sirens that may be indicators that there is a real problem lying under that situation. There's a real problem that lies beneath that. And so today we're talking about why you're unmotivated to have relations with your husband, why you're unmotivated to make connections with your husband, with your spouse. And often it's a signal, right? So let me tell you about my situation, my story. Last night, my husband and I, we had planned connections. I mean, we had planned on the calendar, kind of, but we talked about it. It was something that we were looking forward to all day. We knew what it was. We knew that last night was the night that him and I were going to connect because, life be life in, and sometimes it's hard to make connections. And yes, spontaneous is always best. Come on, spontaneous. We love a good spontaneous. If you love spontaneous connections, go ahead and tap that screen because guess what? Spontaneous will never fail. However, with the way that life's, sometimes it is a challenge and you got to put it on the calendar sometimes, right? You got to schedule that thing. Hold up. I'm going to pause for a second because I know that there are people in the room and I'm talking about my personal situation and I need a little bit of love. So let's get these likes up. Go ahead and tap that screen. If you are in the room, if you are listening, yes, honey, we talking about why you are unmotivated to have relations with your husband. And I need you to tap that screen, tap those likes, get these likes up so that I know that I'm in the right room, that you're in the right room, and we're going to get to the bottom of this together. So go ahead and tap that screen, bring these likes up. Okay. But as I was saying, there is a reason behind. There's a why behind the what. There is a why behind the what. And so, like I said, last night, my husband and I, we had planned relations, right? And throughout the day, we're chatting about just the fact that we're looking forward to connecting. We're looking forward to spending time with one another. And in doing so, you know, I know for me, my mindset was getting ready for that. I was looking forward to that. So fast forward to when we got the kids fed, right? I have three toddlers. Okay. One of my toddlers decides to throw food all around the room. And I'm not talking about any food. It was mashed potatoes. Like mashed potatoes everywhere. And so my husband's like, I'm not cleaning it up because it's a trigger for him. Like, he just cannot bring himself together when it comes to certain mess, and so it's for him, he was operating he was trying to protect himself, protect his, mental space by not responding, and cleaning it up, and just not responding to what what had just happened. And I saw it as, come on, he's a child. You can't look past that. Like, I know it's frustrating, but somebody got to clean this up, and it's either me or it's you. And then I'm like, I'm realizing now, later on, I realized, like, I'm all down the line, and I'm like, you gonna make me get on the floor and clean this up? Like, you saw it first. Why is between the two of us? Why I gotta do it? We both our kid. And so I realized that I shut down. I'm like when he decided to not clean up the mess, I totally took that personally. And not only for me, but also for our kids. I'm like, that's mad immature. Like, come on. And it caused me to shut down. I'm like, I'll show you. You want to shut down? I'ma shut down too. Right? And now I realize that was kind of immature. But even on a deeper scale, I realized that it's not just immaturity, it's a signal. Right? And so I noticed that my lack of motivation, or my motivation, died because I was triggered. How often are we triggered by things that other people do, by different scenarios and situations that cause us to shut down? And if you are in the room and you are married, you understand that, honey, being triggered is something that can happen very quickly. I'm gonna put some light on here. It's something that can happen very, very quickly. And, honey, we could just shut on down, and it'll be okay. Like, for many years, me shutting down, me refusing to not engage with my husband was okay to me. I knew that it wasn't okay, but I was still okay because I stood 10 toes on, well, he got to do this and he got to do that. And what about my feelings? And what about the things that I am choosing to feel? And so I decided to let that be a continuing thing that happened for years and years and years. And my husband and I celebrated 8 years being together yesterday. So it wasn't our marriage anniversary, but we got together. We decided to go together on April 1st. And so on a day that should be celebratory, on a day that we should be looking to enjoy each other, if no other day, if we're on a day that we're looking to celebrate, right? Busy, okay? It just did not happen. And so what happened was I just fell asleep. Like, I just went to bed. So he comes in and he's like, we talked about it. We did discuss briefly because I let him know how I felt. He let me know what he was feeling. He let me know how, all the things that he did, how he decided to reset. He let me know what he was doing. He even helped me to appreciate why he decided to not engage and clean up and do all the things. But I got it then, but I couldn't move forward. I couldn't move past it. So I went to bed and I realized that what really happened to me was that I was triggered. I was triggered, and that trigger caused a deep sadness in me. It caused me to shut down beyond a place where I could repair that in the moment. And that was a signal. And although that has not been the first time that it has happened, I'm in a place where I'm seeking healing and seeking understanding about certain things. And so I decided that, ever since I have decided that I'm not going to allow certain things to just continue on in me and that I'm going to start to address them. I really want to understand what's going on. I know that that's a signal that me being triggered. And I started to think about the why behind the what. Like, what's the reason why I'm triggered? And I realized that it's a form of grief. It's a form of grief for me. I'm grieving. I'm grieving a time in my life when I was vulnerable and I was let down. Have you ever been vulnerable and let down? Baby, that is enough to be heartbreaking. It's enough to cause you to shut down. And not just once, but anytime you are reminded about what it takes to be vulnerable, what it takes to show up as your pure self and then be let down, it can cause you to shut down. And so here we are, years and years away from my original experience, which I talked about on the podcast, which it's my traumatic place. Here we are years away from that. Even situations are different. It's not apples to apples, but that underlying trigger of being vulnerable and being, let down is something that I'm still processing and still grieving. And I believe, and God showed me this morning in prayer, that because I'm able to identify it, I know He's bringing me on out of it. I know that it's coming to the surface. I'm able to identify it because I'm gonna be free from that thing. And so I want to put a pause there. If you are noticing that there are triggers that are coming up for you, it is an opportunity for you to be free from that thing. Again, signals are signs that something is going wrong. It is a sign that something is off in your system. And it is an opportunity for you to get help. It's an opportunity for you to get free from that thing. And so for me, I know that I need to go sit back on the couch. I need to go back to therapy. I need to get back into therapy because that's something that I got to deal with there, right? That's not something that my husband has the responsibility of. He didn't put himself in that situation, and he's not the root cause of the trauma. And so to have him suffer, to have him feel like he has to pay for that, that's not right. And even more so for me to continue to allow that to be a trigger when, even though I know it's hard, even though I know it's deep, it's still it's still an opportunity for me to get some help because I know that it's something that I want to be freed from. Right. So for you, what are the signs? What are the triggers? And what you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? Because people are being affected by the fact that you are not choosing to get the help that you need in the middle of your trigger or in the middle of your situation. Nobody expects you to show up perfect, but we do, we do expect you to walk towards healing, to pursue healing, to pursue a form of being healed, especially if you are connected to someone, if you are in marriage. It's a requirement. Honey, everybody married should be in perpetual therapy because it's so necessary. For me, not being motivated to connect, excuse me, not being motivated to connect last night with my husband was my trigger. I'm sorry, was my signal that I was triggered by a situation that took place in that moment, but it was not the underlying root cause of my original trauma. It just reminded me of my trauma. And this morning in prayer, God showed me how that reminder of my trauma, the trauma is still in my system, and that's what I need to work on so that I could show up as my whole self. So I know I said a lot there, but that's it. And so if you find yourself unmotivated to do anything, you got to get to the bottom of the why behind the what. You got to get to the bottom and understand why you're unmotivated to pursue your business, why you're unmotivated to make certain connections, make certain phone calls, why you're unmotivated to do the things that you know you want to do. Like last night, I had plans. I had things that I wanted to do even after connecting with my husband. There were things that I still needed to get done. But baby, once I was triggered, I'm like, you know what? I became immobile. Like I had to go to bed, you know? And, it's such a horrible feeling in the moment, but even more so, it's such a eye opener, that lets me know that I got to do the work to get the healing that I need in that area. So one of the things I'm going to do immediately is I'm a journal about it. I'm a journal about the experience. Even talking to you guys today is cathartic. It's healing because it's bringing to the surface what is taking place. And one scripture that comes to mind as it relates to this is 2 Corinthians 10 verse 4. It says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds." Right? This fight that I'm facing, and I'm pretty sure the fight that you are facing, is not just in your flesh. These are spiritual battles, especially if you are married, because the devil hates marriage. And so, if you are experiencing immobilizing, let me start over. If you are experiencing immobilizing triggers, things that remind you of your past traumas, things that cause you to get stuck in a place, stuck in a cycle, a rinse and repeat cycle of stopping and going, a rinse and repeat cycle of do it, don't do, whatever that cycle looks like, it's a stronghold. It's something that is preventing you from moving forward. And what I am saying today is that is a spiritual battle that is connected to past traumas that you have to be free from. You have to pursue healing in that area. You got to pray about that thing for sure. But you definitely also, because there are residual effects, you have to get in therapy. I have a partnership with BetterHelp.com. And if you use my code, you can save 10% off your first month with BetterHelp.com. And let me tell you why I love BetterHelp.com. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to know the person. You could choose, a different person if that works for you. And thank you for the roses. Oh, I appreciate you. You can use BetterHelp to be able to deal with that thing privately. Nobody got to know. You don't got to walk into no office, but you know what it is that you need, and you can get the help that you need from your house. And so my code is it's betterhelp.com/POP, and that allows you to save 10% off of your first month. It's worth it. It's worth it. Go sign up today, because if you know that you're in a cycle, right? I know I'm in a cycle. I know I need to go. I know I need to make the call. I know I need to get online. I know I need what I need to do, because what I'm not going to do is stay here. And I told you, I've been married 7 years. We've been together 8 years now. And this is something that my trauma took place before I even met him. I've gone to get help. But what happens is different experiences trigger me in different ways. So whereas I went to a sex therapist, I've done other forms of healing for this same trauma, for the same original situation. But as different triggers come up, I gotta go back to get the help that I need for that particular scenario. So I didn't realize originally that, that small little nuance with him not wanting to clean up the mess would trigger me the way that it did. But I thought about that thing and I said, man, that's what it was. It was it was a trigger for me, which is a signal that let me know that there's a something connected to that. Excuse me. So you may or may not know what the undercover issue is for you, but you do see signals. You do see signs. Those signs look like unmotivation. Those signs look like inconsistency. Those signs look like you refusing to move yourself, move forward, do the things that you put on your heart, that you know are on your heart to do, that you put on your list to do, right? There is a reason why. Because in your right mind, you don't want to be that way. In your right mind, you don't want to be that way. You realize that there are things that you know you need to do, you want to do, but you get stuck. In my book, Stop Stopping, I talk about multiple ways that you can first identify the reasons why you stop stopping, but also how you can get help and how you can address those things. So today I talked a lot about past traumas, which is one of the reasons why we are inconsistent, right? Why we keep stopping. And I showed you how it shows up in my life. And for me, it's a very vulnerable place because my husband, like, he ain't married me to experience that. But we're here, we experience it. But the question is, what am I going to do about it? And so I say the same for you. You know the triggers. You know the things that's preventing you from making connections with your husband. You know the things that's preventing you from doing the things, whatever the thing is that you have on your heart to do or you know you should do. Even your God-given business. You know what's stopping you from doing that. You see the signals. You see the signs. I need you to go a little deeper to get to the root cause and get the help that you need in that area. My code is betterhelp.com/POP to save 10% off your first month. And I highly encourage you to do that. I highly encourage you to go and get the help that you need. I know I am, because I don't want to be here. But also, every time I find myself here, I know I need to get help. I know I need to deal with it, right? Some of you may be grieving. God brought that up in my spirit this morning, grief. And I don't necessarily mean grief and as it relates to the loss of a person, like somebody passing, but you could be grieving a situation that is no longer present. You could be grieving a lifestyle that you once had. You could be grieving a form of freedom that you once had in another part of your life. Especially if you're married, you could be grieving a part of you that you no longer see because your life has shifted. Right? You could be grieving, excuse me, so many things. For me, I recognize that me being vulnerable and being let down is something that I'm still struggling with. And so anytime I find myself there, it triggers me. And the thing is, they happen. They gonna happen. Triggers are gonna happen. We are human. Triggers are meant to happen. But we can't get stuck there because we have God-given business. We have things that we have to do. And so we have to utilize the resources to get those things done. All right. I'm going to pray. It's time to go. But I pray that this was helpful to you. So if you are watching this live or you are watching the replay on YouTube, I pray that something that was said today encourages you to get the help that you need in the area that you need it. If you see the signs, if you see the triggers, you know that you got to do the work required to get the help that you need in that area so that you no longer suffer and also the people around you don't suffer either. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this opportunity to identify how you are moving in our lives in a way and in a form that God originally it feels like crazy, but it is a sign, it's a signal, it's an alarm going off that we hear, we see, and God, you put us in position to address it. And so we thank you. Thank you, first and foremost, for the opportunity to address those things, but even more so, God, we trust you. We trust that in this season and this time, it is right now that you have pulled it to the surface so that it could be dealt with. God, we are grateful that you've allowed. I'm grateful that you've allowed each and every person that will see and hear this episode that they will get the help that they need. They may have even been searching for it. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to be a vessel today, to share my experience, to be in a place where I can talk about it. And I look forward. I may not ever see, I may not ever know, they may not ever share, but I still rejoice in knowing that the help that my sister or even my brother who's listening needs will be had, that they will get the help that they need, that they won't just listen and hear this episode and do nothing, but that they will take advantage of the opportunity and get the help that they need in this area. God, cover them. Don't let this message, don't let this feeling, don't let the opportunity pass them, don't let it fall by the wayside, but cover them, protect them, insulate them, that they might be able to follow through and get the help that they need. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. Thank you guys so much for staying on and sticking with me. I will have a replay on YouTube because I know it's early. It's 4:30 in the morning. Sorry, it's 4:30 in the morning, and I know everybody is either sleep, getting up, getting busy, doing the things. However, I do come live every day at 4:30, so join me in this. And that's it. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Take care. And thank you for the love. Thank you for the roses. Thank you for all the things. Thank you for the likes. But most importantly, thank you for showing up. All right. Take care. Bye bye.